This week we're revisiting episode 54 from September of 2016. Welcome to another episode of The Little Radio Show. My name is Sandra Fernandez and I'm joined by my co-hosts Juan, Alanis, and Anjelica Cazares, and we're bringing you small talk about big topics. And this week we have a brave conversation about all the reasons why it may be time to break up with your friends. Just a reminder that you can catch us every week on Thursdays at 2 p.m. Central Time on hmsnetradio.org. Our show archives and the link to our iTunes and Stitcher channels are available at thelittlерadioshow.com. The Little Radio Show is brought to you in partnership with juanofwords.com and HispanicHouston.com. We all know the signs of a breakup for a boyfriend or a girlfriend or even husband or wife or significant other of any kind, whatever that may look like for you. Usually there's a fight involved. Sometimes there isn't. Often there's ice cream or tequila or strip joints or whatever it is that floats your boat to get over a breakup. You pick up any women's or men's lifestyle magazine and there's endless quizzes about, is this person good for you? You know, is this is your significant other, is your loved one the person that you're supposed to be with? And so we're used to that when it comes to lovers, boyfriends, husbands, etc. What about with friends? I read an article recently that actually had me asking this question is, at what point are we supposed to break up with a friend? And what does that look like? Because I'm looking back at my life and, you know, everybody knows that like those childhood friends, you grow out of them because you develop different personalities. But there's this assumption that when you make friends as an adult, they stay your friends. Mm-hmm. And then there's for other people, and Anjelica and I have had this conversation, even on the show, that there's an assumption that the friends that you made during your childhood, you're supposed to be loyal to them and friends for the rest of your life. Mm-hmm. So when do you break up with a friend?
You break up or stop being a friend? Because there's different kinds of friends. So there's like that best friend, like not best friend. I hate saying that term because there's so many variations, close even best friends. Yes. So there's friends that you know are more than friends, that like are more than friends. They're somebody that you consider very much part of your life.
Like and your family.
Well, not as much as your family, but almost the equivalent.
See, in the way that you said that, it's someone out there can tell me that I'm wrong. That's a very Latino thing to say, quite honestly.
It is.
I love my friends. I would walk over hot coals for my family. Mm-hmm. And not that I wouldn't walk over hot coals for my friends. I'm going to pause probably. For my family, probably not. And it doesn't matter if we're arguing or we're fighting or whatever. For my family is a completely different thing.
You weigh your options when it comes to your friends. You weigh the cons, the pros. Is it worth it? Is it not? But not your family. You kind of just, if they say you trust them, if you by all means know that water is shallow and they say it's 10 feet deep, you just kind of like, all right, we're all going to jump in. I obviously know it's shallow. One of us is going to bump our heads, but we're diving. And that's the way it is with family. With friends, you're like, you argue. You're like, no, I'm not diving in with you, girl. You're going alone because I know that thing is shallow. I'm not like, that's, what do you like to say, Juan? That's not, I don't have a bone in that dog fight, right? Yeah. So, and that's the way it is.
No bones and no dog fights. Okay, Juan.
And, for friends, there's a big, like I was saying, there's variations of good friends, you know. There's those that you know better than others. There's some that you would do more for others, but there is you don't ever know when you break up with them, because when I thought I've broken up with friends, it turns out they didn't break up with me, or vice versa.
Well, but did you tell them?
I don't tell them. Yeah,
that's the thing. It's like you do that. You're doing that thing that, I'm going to blow you off and ghost myself from your family, from your life. I'm going to ghost myself. You're doing that thing where you're like, I'm going to ghost myself from your life and hope you understand and take the hint.
But I never truly ever let go of people. That's one of my things. I never really do.
Should you? Seriously though, some people get to the point. I have friends where I have on purpose taken very long breaks from them because it's gotten to the point where, and I know this is the thing, it's like you're supposed to support your friends through everything. I've done everything that I can for them, but every time we get together, somehow I walk away feeling worse. It's like, and not just about myself. It's one of those things where there is nothing that I can do for them, and everything that I do just ends up being detrimental to myself. So at what point do you say, I'm sorry, I've got to look out for myself? Like, almost like having a relationship with an addict. You support them and support them and support them. And at some point, you're going to have to say, you know what? You're breaking into my house. You're bringing undesirable people around my family. I can't have that anymore. You are out of my life. So what I'm saying is, sometimes in a relationship, that has to be the case. But they're not all so cut and dry.
No, they're not.
Like, for example.
Okay.
I have many friends. I have very few close friends. Like, the people who can call you at 3 o'clock in the morning and say, I need somebody to go with me to the emergency room. Friends. Like, the people that you can call them up and say, I need you to go out and get drunk with me and don't ask any questions. Friends. Like, the ones who, when I tell them that my niece's boyfriend said he didn't like her dress, say, let's go TP his house. And they're absolutely not kidding about it.
They're serious about it, yeah.
They're absolutely not kidding about it, because how dare he? Those kinds of friends. Are very, very few. They're very, very few, and I guard them closely. However, because they're so close, like with family, there gets a point where you start to get on each other's nerves. I know that this is temporary. Some people, it's not. Like, I had an instance where I had a friend who, we've been friends for years. We've been friends for decades, actually. And I love her. She tends to be a little flaky. Which was fine. That's fine. Except she kept doing things in such a way that I would commit myself and I would buy the stuff and I would go do, and then she would flake out, and I'd be like stuck with non-refundable tickets, and I'd be stuck with, I had asked for time off and taken time off to find that, oh, she hadn't even shown up. Stuff like that. And after a while, the minuses in our relationship just amounted to so much that I'm like, I can't trust in you anymore. And I tried to talk with her about it, and it just went completely over her head. So now every time she asks me to go somewhere or to do something, I'm busy. I don't even look at my calendar. I'm busy. That's how I ended that relationship, is like, I can no longer trust you. I love you. You're a nice person, but we can't make any plans together.
To me, that's a friendship.
This is
where I get
confused.
Friendship is like give and take. If the person's not, if you give and you give and you give, and the person is just taking and you don't get anything back, then to me that's just like, okay. But I see things very like, I'm very.
He's very cut and dry.
I see very straight lines. So I'm like, you're either on this side of the line or on that side of the line, and there's kind of no in between. Sometimes there is, but to me it's like, if you give and and the person just takes, and it's like, okay, well then I'm not giving anymore.
But there are extenuating circumstances. Sometimes you make allowances for people. Sometimes they're going through a bad.
And the other thing is, I think that males and females see friendship in a different way.
Probably.
To me, it's like either you're a friend or you're not a friend. And I think Anjelica is much more emotional about
attachment to things, not to things, to people. Yeah, I do. I actually do. I very much base my friendships on emotions. I have a lot of very surfaced friends. Where everything's very surface.
We all have a lot of surface. I have 1,400 people on Facebook think that they're my friends.
No, and I don't have as many people on Facebook for that reason. And I took that very literal. Like, add your friends, you know what I mean? And it's like, if it's somebody I knew, I didn't care to add them. They're not my friend. Or I didn't even consider them a surface friend. And I take that word very literal. As I said, it isn't the same. It isn't the same for everybody. All these players are not going to be your goal players. And so I used to have a very good childhood friend that when we grew up, we kind of grew separate, and we kept in contact, but things just kind of happened. And I love her very dearly, and I keep hoping that and praying that she'll understand her situation, and that maybe, and then maybe we can rekindle a lot of that time that has passed and lost. And I'm not so sure that's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? So I pray the best for her, and she looks like she's in a lot of need of help, but I think she's in a position where she can only help herself at this point. And so there's very little people can do. And I see a lot of people coming in and out of her life. And it's because, you know, how things are, you kind of keep up with them. And I see a lot of people come in and out of her life very quickly. Like she's having a lot of friend turnaround. So she keeps people in her life for about 3 months, 6 months, and it goes very fast, you know?
Is that possibly because she doesn't give anything back to them?
I think so, but
that's kind of like being at work and you see this high
I think she
turnover.
exhausts it, you know? She exhausts that relationship very fast.
They're called emotional vampires. They take and they drain you of all your good emotions and all of your, and, you know, no offense, I cannot be around people like that. I'm sorry.
Not that we kind of did have we didn't have a toxic relationship, but there was a lot of things that we knew very much about each other, and it was a very emotionally charged relationship with me and her. We were very close for a very long time. But she just, a lot of things just turned, and I understood so I understand her past, and I understand why she's going through a lot of the things she's going through, but I can't assert myself in her. It would drain me. It would take up at least a good 10-20% of my life that I don't have to give. I can't give. And so, but then there are other relationships. I have another friend, Juan likes to mess with a lot. And she's a really good friend, and I know her lifestyle.
Audience.
Oh, that sounds. Why do I always say things so wrong?
I'm sorry, that's where my mind went. She means that in a non-sexual way.
Yes, please believe me.
Believe me.
But she means it.
Why is it always me, guys? Always me.
We love that little pink bubble that you use
I
see
love,
the filter that you see the world through. The rest of us thought really bad thoughts. And just for future reference, if there was anybody that Juan was, you know, messing with in that way, I'd be helping her dig a grave, okay?
Yes. Heavens. All right. So we're going to come right back to it. So here we go. So this friend, she has also been going through a lot of things, but she kind of needed a little bit of emotional support. And I gave that, you know, I gave my 5-10%, and I gave that to her, and I allocated that time. And I said, all right, this is all I got, homie. Like once this is over, like I gotta bolt. And I didn't exactly tell her that, but I did invest into it.
The thing is, it was also self-inflicted, except it wasn't harmful the way the other one was.
Yeah.
But to me, like I still have friends that I can connect with that I haven't seen in years, and then when we connect, it's like we never like stop talking. But it's just like,
what friends are these?
Just people that I know, like people that, like, you know, there's a guy from high school that I talk to every once in a while online. When we talk, it's like, you know,
I call them the cactus friendships.
Yeah.
They require a little bit of water every once in a while, and they'll survive just fine. Then there's the house flower friendships, where, oh my God, I haven't heard from you. It's been forever, and it's been like 3 freaking days.
Where you haven't heard anything.
It's been like 3 days, and I'm like, sweetie, what has happened to you in the last 3 days? You know, house flower needs all the right atmosphere and constant attention, or else it
that sounds
withers.
exhausting.
Yes. But think of your life, and you know you have friends that are like that.
Yeah,
you have friends that are house flowers that require constant watering and attention and love and. Okay, I'm being facetious with the love, and you know, or otherwise, it's like the friendship takes a hit. Most of my friends are cactus.
Oh, really?
Sorry, cacti. Most of my really good friendships are all like that, where it's been weeks since we've connected, and the next time that I see them, it's like no time has passed, and the friendship is still as strong, and we get caught up. And if I need them, they will show up for me. They're like family, and that's the difference for me.
So how do you break up? Do you really go and tell them, you know what, this is not working? I don't think I have it
doing that.
I don't have it in me to be like, I gotta cut you off forever, because I think it would make people feel bad, you know, like you're bad. We were friends enough, but you're no longer good. Or, you know what I mean? Like, I feel, if I was told that, I'd be like, what?
But that's funny, because you're willing to say that to a significant other, but you're not willing to say that to a person that's not your significant other, who you were less attached to.
That you're less funny? Attached to.
Have you ever you've seen me and my sisters fight, right, Juan?
Oh.
Where we fight to the point where we're crying and then we're hugging at the end. And I hate it.
It's like my sisters and I, we all have these really strong personalities, and I don't know that I would have picked them as friends, because most of the time our relationships are very uncomfortable. But no one gets to tell them anything. And again, if push comes to shove, I know I can count on my family, and my sisters are among them. So yeah, that's the way that it happens. So
for me, I would say, regardless of anything, family's family, and that's it. Like, regardless of
that's Juan's attitude. Yeah. We're obviously not talking about family, Juan. We're talking about friends.
But you see,
I know.
I love my family, and they're going to be there for me in case of a catastrophe or whatever. But if I've got one of those self-destructive, oh my God, I can't believe I did that again for the 37th time, and somebody talk me off the ledge over tequila and sliders, I'm going to call my girlfriends.
Mm-hmm. No, you do. There's things
I'm going to call my girlfriends because, they're going to be not judgmental. I don't have to worry about it.
It's not going to come up again as much.
It's not going to come up again.
They might just follow up.
They're going to let me cry into my tequila, my margarita, or whatever it is that I'm drinking without telling me, well, I told you what to do last time.
Yeah.
No. They're not going to do that. And
family expects so much out of you, and friends, you can give, you can give enough and nothing is expected. And usually family comes back like, so what happened? What did you do? What did you say? Did you say this? I told you to do this. I told you to do that. Friends are more like, so what happened?
But isn't it funny how both of us just finished saying that we'd be willing to do much more for family than friends, when we're also both saying that we get much more emotional support from friends and family.
Yeah, we do.
So I'm like, we're so that's such a Latino thing. I'm sorry. It really
but I wouldn't expect my friends to do what my family does. I wouldn't expect my friends to do what my family does, which is if I say, guys, if I'm really like I'm in a position where I absolutely need all hands on deck, I expect my family to do it, not my friends. Yes. I do expect emotional support from my friends, but I expect physical support from my family. And I think maybe that's the difference with me. I want, emotional support from my family also, but sometimes they can't because they're going through other things. And so I have to give them that time. And sometimes it is, you kind of cry on the shoulder and you forgive and you forget and you forgive and you forget. And then, but family and friends, you expect it to be, what I was going to say, Sandra? I'm thinking about this, is loyalty. Yes. It's one of my biggest things with friendship is loyalty. That's when I know I've hit like gold, when I've hit loyalty with somebody.
We cut Juan off. You were saying that's what you were saying about family.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I was saying. Was family is family, and that's the same thing that I think we're all saying is like family is family, regardless of whatever. Like, regardless of differences, it's still the same thing. Like the only thing that's difference between me is I think that friendship, like. I don't know. I guess I'm not as emotionally attached with friends.
You're a guy.
Yeah. So
there's some things that and again, I'm generalizing because not all women are emotional and emotionally tied to friends this way. Not all men are as practical as that. So, but the cliche is a cliche for a reason, in that it does talk about a big portion of the population. Most of the men that I know, their friendships with other men, or even with women, there's not a lot of. But
see, the thing is, like, for when it comes to my emotions, the person that I rely on is Anjelica. Like,
yes, and we all approve of that.
No, and I have to mention one, but there's not a lot of like guy friends that you consider like, how out there there's this bro romance, or this buddies. Yeah, these buddies.
No,
you don't have those.
But a lot of married couples that I know, actually, the first person that they rely on is the husband or the wife, which I think is absolutely the right thing to do.
Yeah, it is. And that can be a whole other conversation, because that it's all, every relationship, right? It's all by choice. And I think that gets hard. And so when we're talking about relationships, so friendship is by choice. Husband and wife is by choice, but then you make family, and now you're like, this is more besides choice.
So could you be friends with someone who didn't like Juan?
Like absolutely hated him?
Like they can't get along at all. Like every time they're together, she spends most of the time sniping at him, or making it to where she's making him mad. Or I'm sorry, do you already have a friend like that?
No, well, he's just mad all the time, so I never know. No, but I know. I mean, if something got out of hand or out of control, it's something that I feel like somebody just couldn't stand him, I'd be like, well, this is kind of awkward. So I don't know. We've never encountered that, but I would I don't even have to worry about Juan because I think he'd always choose like family over friends, but I would never choose friends over family.
So could you be friends with someone who hated one of your sisters or a family member who like, oh my God, with a passion hated?
No.
No.
See, like I've had the situation where like there's people that have talked like very poorly about one of my siblings and they've not done anything to me, but I'm like, no, you talk bad about my sibling, you don't speak to me.
Really?
And
I want to hear that story.
Like,
I don't know where that went.
We're not, we're not cool. Don't act like we're cool because I'm not cool with you talking about my family.
Yeah. It goes back to the thing. I'm the only one allowed to say stuff about my family.
Exactly.
And I even have trouble with my in-laws talking about any of my family members. You're not blood. You're not blood. What are you talking about? Just because you're married into a family does not give you permission to talk about them.
I don't have problems with people talking directly about me, but once I like, for example, now we're getting places we should not, so we're gonna leave that alone.
Okay, so moving on. Could you be? What happens? Like, could you be friends with someone who was who had a bad opinion about another friend and kept talking about it? So I had that experience once where I was hanging out. It was a new friendship, and I had to call them. I'm like, listen, this is a really good friend of mine. I'm not comfortable with this, and they kept on doing it, and I had to stop. It's like, and yes, oh well, you chose her. Yeah, I did. She doesn't talk about you.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. So going back to the original topic, though, breaking up with friends. So reasons why you'd want to break up with friends, and we've been going on about what happens when you put more in and they're not giving anything back. We all go through phases, an illness, a death in the family, someone goes through, depression. Mm-hmm. We all know that it's an ebb and flow. But at some point, you've put in so much, and you're seeing they're just not putting anything back, and it's going on and on and on. And sometimes you're like, okay, I can't give you any more.
But you were saying, so what are your reasons for breaking up with the relationship?
Well, that was one.
Okay.
I don't know that I would call it a breakup, but usually the first step for me
Let's call it phase them out.
Yes. The first thing is I stop reaching out. And, I am very much let's go have brunch. And y'all know this. Let's go have brunch. Let's go dinner, whatever. And then I get busy and I sort of fall off the face of the earth for a little while. And then I come back for a while. Most of the people who are close to me and even my family members know this. And with my family, I've got like a mental tally. Okay, they've invited me for dinner 4 times and I said no for 4 times. I've got to start saying yes or they're going to start taking it personally.
They're going to call me out on it.
Yes, they're going to start taking it personally. But the first thing that happens for me is I stop reaching out. Yeah, okay. And then I stop saying yes to stuff. It's like, oh, no, you know what? I'm really busy. I'd love to. I'm really busy. I'm sorry. And then I just sort of vanish from life.
Do you have that where there's like where if people cross a certain line with you, like even if you don't want to, you just subconsciously you just can't go back to the way the friendship was?
There are lines
because that happens to me. Like sometimes when I'm like, even if I'm like, okay, I want to see past this, you cross the line, but I want to like maybe see past this and try to get over it. But then I'm just like, I can't, like mentally, like I just can't get, like I just I feel like, there's a line been crossed or you're not loyal or whatever it is. And I just can't like I can't be close like that again.
The sad thing is I tend to be a lot more forgiving of people who are my friends for doing stuff than I would be of a boyfriend, that I am of coworkers, even that I am of family, actually. I give them a lot more leeway. I give them a lot more space to run with. But there comes a point at which sometimes there are things that they do that I just can't get past.
But then there's also the people that that you don't stop being friends with. But I mean, you really were never friends with. You were maybe like acquaintances with, and then you don't you're still friendly with them. Like you still see them, you still talk to them. You still have an amicable exchange, but in the back of your mind you can't trust them. So you're just you're very reserved about what you agree to do with them or not.
And I've had stuff like that, and I've actually had stuff like that pan out in the long run. And let's all be honest that we're supposed to be friendly to people even if we don't like them.
Right.
If you don't like someone, you're not actually allowed to stand in public and, and do barbs with them and turn your back to them when they say good morning and whatever. When people do that, it annoys the hell out of me because, first of all, okay, be a grown-up. If you have a problem with them, tell them you have a problem with them and after that, be a grown-up. Yeah. That's not acceptable behavior. That passive aggressive stuff, and we all know, we've seen it recently, okay? That
We
passive
have.
aggressive stuff is not acceptable.
I know, and I did it once, and I felt bad, and I was like, you know what, I'm only doing this because I'm not calling out somebody, and I felt the need to like verbalize what I was feeling. But I want to go back to the reasons that reasons why I would phase somebody out.
Yes.
One was loyalty, and the other is
Yes.
communication. Like because I emotionally I invest emotional credit to these friendships. I not that I expect communication, but some sort of communication, like not give me your time, but a simple, like, I don't know, communication is key to me. Like every now and then, you know what I mean? But I don't expect to go back to a friendship like 5 months later when nobody ever like, hey, because 5 months a lot can happen. You know what I'm saying? So things can happen, and so if I never heard from you, I just assume you didn't like me or we're not friends anymore, and I kind of started phasing you out because there was no communication whatsoever.
Well, like on some TV shows I've heard where they're having arguments about like, well, like I was going through such a tough time and you never reached out to me, or
Not like that.
or I was ill and you never like asked me how I was doing, and they take it so personal, like, and it's usually women that are arguing about this, and it's like, is there an expectation that if somebody's sick that you have to reach out to them?
Not necessarily.
Again, it depends on the person. When my dad passed away, I worked at a company, 550, 600 employees, right? The standard practice at the company is there was a company-wide email that was sent out to everyone to let everyone know that a staff member had someone pass away. I specifically asked my boss not to send that out. Because I did not
I would have done that too. Yeah.
I did not want hundreds of strangers coming up to me and telling me that, we're so sorry for you, and having to have conversations about my dad passing away. I did not want that. I don't want this.
See, like for me,
and they probably all meant it from a good. I didn't want to deal with it.
Yeah, like when my dad was diagnosed, and I had and I said something about it at work, and then everybody was asking about it, and I just found it like really annoying because I was like, I don't want to. I'm tired of talking about it. I don't want, like, if I want to talk about it, I want to talk to people that I want to talk to about it, not you. And it wasn't that they were being offensive, or it wasn't that they were being mean, or it was just my thing. Like I was like, I don't really feel comfortable talking about this over and over.
My
and
form
over
of
and over.
On the other hand, I had an illness surgery. I was out of work for 7 weeks. I was at home. I have about half a dozen really, really good friends. We take vacations together and, do stuff together, and I know their families and they know mine, and I get them invited to the weddings, and that kind of, they're my posse, right? Mm-hmm. And 2 of them didn't visit me in 7 weeks. Not once. Not a single time did they visit me. They didn't check on me, whatever. And I would be lying if I didn't say that hurt my feelings. I didn't expect them to come to the hospital because,
But you expected them to at least ask.
I was at home for 7 freaking weeks with major surgery. And I'm honest, it's like, that hurt my feelings.
But you see, it's always like a little awkward because like I know somebody that I know that recently their father passed away, and I was reaching out to them for something like that was kind of business related, and so, but I knew about it, so I apologized about it, but I felt weird apologizing about it because we weren't that close. But I was like, I don't want to not acknowledge it, and I didn't want to like be like, oh hey, well so I felt like it was a weird. It was a weird like acknowledgement, but I felt like I had to do it instead of not doing it. Like I thought that was the better option.
We should take a poll online and find out, what are some of the reasons why you might end your friendship. Maybe we'll ask for some comments and read them in an upcoming episode, because I'm really curious as to what the triggers are and where the hot buttons are for a lot of people. Different people view friendship in different ways. And so while to me, being a friend means that it has to go both ways, to other people, being a friend means that you give and give even when there's no one to give you, no one's giving you anything back. It's just going to depend. So out there, this is my challenge to you, is let us know, and then maybe we'll revisit the topic. Thank you for joining us for another episode of The Little Radio Show. We invite you to check out our iTunes and our Stitcher channels and leave us a rating or a review. You can find the link to both channels at thelittleradioshow.com.